Good evening. My name is Luke Stilson, Director of Athletic Communications here at Gettysburg. Tonight, we celebrate the outstanding accomplishments of our former student athletes who have gained entry into the Hall of Athletic Honor. Since 1978, when 29 athletes were elected, the Hall has recognized the greatest sports figures in Gettysburg's long athletics history. And tonight, the total number of inductees reaches 275 with the addition of a new class. It is my great pleasure to introduce those 26 members in attendance with us this evening, beginning with our newest class. Carol Daly Cantelli, class of 1983. Tedra Fazendario, class of 1997. Heather Gallagher, class of 2003. Brian Moore, class of 2002. Garrick Robinson, class of 1983. Andy Shealy, class of 1988. Liz Janelle, class of 2003. Missy West, class of 2001. Paul Smith, class of 2000. Steph Tanner, class of 2000. Becky Griffith, class of 1998. Salvatore Rossi, class of 1989. Brian Golden, class of 1988. Brian Barr, class of 1986. Bob Lewis, class of 1986. Kevin Silva, class of 1986. Christopher Remke, class of 1983. Carrie Williams, class of 1983. Cheryl Carey, class of 1982. Nancy Schultz, class of 1982. David Boynton, class of 1979. Kirby Scott, class of 1977. Bob Smith, class of 1959, former head swim coach. Joe Denali, former head athletic trainer and men's lacrosse coach. Mike Raleigh, former head swim coach. And Barry Streeter, former head football coach. At this time, I would like to introduce Executive Director of Intercollegiate Athletics and Campus Recreation, Mike Mattia, for a few words.
Thank you, Luke. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to the 2024 Hall of Athletic Honor celebration. I want to start off by congratulating our inductees and thank you and your families, friends, and former teammates and coaches for being with us tonight. I would also like to thank those of you who are already in the Hall of Honor who've returned to welcome the next class into this illustrious and exclusive group. Thank you for coming back and helping us celebrate tonight. It is always great to see this impressive group lined up here in the front to kick off the night. This is one of my favorite events that we put on each year, and I want to thank the Orange and Blue Club for organizing this evening together. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to make this event run smoothly, and I especially want to thank Nick Poehler and Dana Vandergrift for their tireless effort making this a great evening. I also want to thank, I also want to thank Luke Stilson in our communications office. Luke and his office are responsible for the videos you will soon see and for collecting and organizing all the information on each inductee. Tonight, we will commemorate the remarkable achievements of 6 individuals. These inductees represent 6 different athletic programs that touch 3 different decades. This extraordinary group established a benchmark for success in their respective sports, leaving a lasting legacy at Gettysburg College through their unwavering dedication, pursuit of excellence, and perseverance as student athletes and as a coach. These inductees were team captains. They combined for 38 conference championships and 31 national playoff appearances. They were Player of the Year award winners, a multiple-time National Coach of the Year awardee, all-conference, all-region, all-American recipients, and career record holders at Gettysburg and in the Centennial Conference, with a few of those records still standing today. And there's one honoree this evening who has been a part of every team national championship in the history of Gettysburg athletics as both a player and a coach. We are all very proud of these accomplishments and hope they can inspire our current and future Gettysburg student athletes to carry on our rich and proud tradition of success. Beyond these individual achievements, these inductees were exceptional teammates and an outstanding coach. The enduring relationships they built with their teammates and the mentorship that was provided to hundreds of student athletes over the course of a coaching career have more meaning than any personal accomplishment. That is why we have so many former student athletes and coaches who don the orange and blue here celebrating with us tonight. This evening allows us to honor 6 remarkable Gettysburgians while reconnecting with friends, sharing our memories, and reflecting on how great it is to be a Bullet. Thanks again for joining us and celebrating this wonderful occasion. We're in for a fantastic evening. Now I'd like to introduce the 15th president of Gettysburg College, Bob Giuliano.
Good evening, everybody. How are you all tonight? A subdued crowd. Come on, we can do better than that. How are you all tonight? Thank you, Mike, and really it is a pleasure to have you all here gathering tonight for our Athletic Hall of Honor induction ceremony. As Mike suggested, it is always such a special night here on the campus. It's a night in which we celebrate and honor our former student athletes whose legacies continue to endure not only in the record books, but also in the hearts of our Bullets faithful. As Mike said, we're really here tonight to honor an extraordinary class of inductees to our ranks, alumni from across the generations, including the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, each with their own remarkable story of grit, accomplishment, and teamwork. Before we begin the program, let me acknowledge a recent and troubling situation involving members of one of our athletics team. The incident has received considerable campus and local attention, and many have likely heard about it. This is not the moment to go into the details about what happened here, but it underscores to me the essential importance of what we seek to do here at Gettysburg College. Yes, we want our teams to compete at the highest possible levels, but we are more about readying our young adults for the life ahead of them, one grounded in character, mutual support, teamwork, and respect. We will see those characteristics on full display in the honorees here tonight. The recent report reminds us of the importance of these characteristics and that our work in reinforcing them in our student athletes is never done. Let me now turn to what brings us together here tonight, and I'd like to begin again by offering my heartiest congratulations to every member of this impressive class of inductees, and thank their devoted families, friends, teammates here tonight to celebrate them and cheer them on. This is a group that has not only excelled in the classroom and on the playing fields, but one that has shown an inspiring commitment to Gettysburg College and to our athletic program. From an inductee, becoming the first and only women's swimmer in Centennial Conference history to sweep the 50 and 100 freestyles in not one, not two, but 3 consecutive seasons. To another inductee who to this day still holds our football program's career record for tackles, get this, 430 total tackles. These are like water boy stats. Bobby Boucher in orange and blue. To another inductee and friend who played a central role as a player and as a coach in helping the Bullets raise each of our 4 national trophies. Before I steal all the thunder about the remarkable Gettysburgians we'll honor tonight, let me stop and simply underscore just how pleased we are to honor this truly remarkable class. Again, congratulations to all of our inductees. As Mike indicated, today's inductees join an elite group of more than 250 Hall of Honor members, composed of former student athletes, coaches, and staff members whose names are synonymous with greatness here at Gettysburg. I was so thrilled to see them all up here tonight, welcoming the newest members in their really select group. Again, honorees, please rise one more, inductees, please rise one more time. Give a wave so we can congratulate you as well. This past year has brought some exciting new developments to our athletics program, starting with the new lights at Musselman Stadium. And I was running in the stadium today. It's getting a paint job. It's looking really, really good. I hope you're going to join us here on October 4th in 2 weeks when we host our first ever football game under the lights against McDaniel. It's going to be a memorable night. Campus-wide tailgate, a parade of our athletic teams, an unforgettable Bullets marching band halftime performance, and of course, Mo, I saw him earlier, a great showing on the gridiron by our football team. Then in March, we'll host another college-wide celebration for our men's lacrosse team when it hosts its first night game at Musselman. I've heard some early signs of what they're going to do in March, and it's exciting. You won't want to miss it. 2 big games, 2 big Gettysburg celebrations. We hope to see you there. I want to note that these lights were fully funded by a generous group of alumni and parents. It was their vision that made this a reality, a vision inspired by their belief in the impact our athletic program has on our students. And in turn, as I've just described, they're giving us the opportunity to find a new way to celebrate as a community together. It shines a brighter light on our athletics program. I know I had to say it. And in doing so, it's going to help us recruit the next generation of students, some of whom will be here some years down the road, celebrating their induction to this unbelievable organization. Again, to the parents, the alumni, to everyone who supports the college, our deepest gratitude. It's what makes our students' experience as rich as it is. So, speaking about athletic facilities, this year we were just ranked 14th in the nation among liberal arts and sciences colleges for our athletic facilities by the Princeton Review. You're not surprised. We take a lot of pride in that. And our phenomenal athletic facilities play an important role in helping our coaches recruit the next generation of students to wear the orange and blue. Another way we're doing that is through a new position we're creating. We are now hiring our first full-time strength and conditioning coach. This position was also made possible by the generosity of our alumni and parents and is going to work very closely with all of our varsity athletes, going to be a staple in the weight room, helping our students really to reach their fullest potential. Again, we're really happy to report, as I understand it, Mike, we are in the final round of interviews with some really exceptional candidates, so stay tuned on that as well. Still, above everything else, the biggest asset our coaches have in recruiting students to Gettysburg College is the exceptional education we offer to our students and the exceptional careers it leads them to. In fact, through the thing we call the Gettysburg approach, every single student here develops and deepens the enduring skills most sought by employers and graduate schools. Skills that are often the hardest to teach, but that will position our students to do all that they wish to do. When we survey employers, we find that Gettysburg students far outperform their peers in these must-have career skills. Skills like adaptability, communication, creativity, intercultural fluency, leadership, problem-solving, and teamwork. All this matters. And when we consider what our students learn by virtue of their athletic experiences, it reinforces the same. What it means to lead a group of peers, what it means to function as part of a team, what it means to stay driven in the face of adversity, what it means literally for the wrestlers in this room to get yourself off the mat during moments of failure. All of this speaks to enduring skills. And these are precisely the sort of skills our honorees demonstrated in their careers and in their playing fields here. And it's because in so many respects, Gettysburg Athletics is an incubator for life-enduring skills. You all have given us the blueprint for what it means, and now we're scaling it in ways few other colleges can match. Let me give you an example. This past May, our head coach, B.J. Dunn, who I saw her earlier, took our men's basketball team on a donor-funded trip to 8 cities across Europe. While abroad, the team had the opportunity to explore new cultures, apply their education, and compete in 3 games overseas, including 2 against the strongest teams in Belgium. For our men's basketball team, just like our men's soccer team that just returned from a trip to Costa Rica on a donor-funded trip this past August, it was truly a transformative experience, one that helped solidify who they are, what they want to accomplish, and how they are going to define and lead their own consequential life. As a college, we have talked for a good long time about making these kinds of opportunities more widely available for students. Now we're doing it. Today, we are guaranteeing every student a career-ready experience. That means if you come to Gettysburg College, you participate in our guided pathways, we will guarantee that you will graduate having benefited from an internship, a long-term service project, foreign study and travel, a campus leadership role, or faculty-mentored research. Each of these career-ready experiences, coupled with the extraordinary liberal education we provide to our students, will create the maximum appeal for our students when they're sitting across the table from a potential employer or a graduate school. Like you all, our students want to lead great lives and have good and engaging professional careers. We're teaching them how. There's so much to be excited about when it comes to what we're building here at the college. As a president, one of the questions I most often get is, how can I help? You all are here tonight because you care about your alma mater. Help us cultivate these enduring skills in today's Gettysburgians by getting yet further engaged and providing your own career-ready experience for our students. Welcome students to your workplace in a job shadowing opportunity. Provide access to real-world experiences by offering an internship or an externship. Organize an on-campus or virtual networking event. Give our students a first glimpse of a potential career path and share with them the enduring skills that you all developed here that have helped shape your life and your career. Lastly, help us continue to transform this remarkable college by making a gift, whether it's to the Orange and Blue Club, to the Gettysburg Fund, or to your favorite part of the college. All of it matters. Let me close. Gettysburg College is better because of what happens on our athletic fields. To everyone in this room who honored the Orange and Blue by how they carried themselves on the playing fields and in their life after graduation, you are here today as beacons for today's students. Again, thank you all for joining in this remarkable night. I am so excited to honor our inductees today. Please join me one last time in congratulating them and welcoming them to this select club.
At this time, I'd like to welcome Kelly Jones, equipment manager from 1987 until 2022, to the stage for the invocation just before dinner this evening. After the invocation, you will be dismissed by tables to enjoy the buffet, and then we'll return after dinner for our ceremony.
Thank you. I love that we're already praising God. I love that. Love it. Congratulations to all the inductees tonight and all those that came back. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we invite your presence into this room tonight and give you thanks that we can gather to honor these inductees and their families. Let your joy be our influence, and we give thanks to those that have prepared and will serve our meal tonight. Amen.
Now that you've all enjoyed your wonderful meal, you can sit back and enjoy the rest of the evening and the real reason we're all gathered here this evening. It's time to begin the formal induction of our 6 newest members into the Hall of Athletic Honor. Our first inductee burst onto the scene just as the Centennial Conference was launching. She helped establish Gettysburg Field Hockey as a dominant force in a new conference, setting a standard of excellence for the next 30 years. 2 titles in the first 4 years of a new league wasn't half bad. Let's hear more about Tedra Fazendario and the career that landed her a spot in the Hall of Athletic Honor.
Tedra Fazendario was a model of consistency and reliability during her time on the Gettysburg field hockey team. By coupling that with record-setting offensive output, Tedra Fazendario has surely earned her place in the Hall of Athletic Honor.
Tedra was an outstanding player. She had incredible ability to track the ball, find it into her stick, and with just a quick little redirect, place it where the goalie couldn't find it. And she was an incredible defensive player, too. Many times we'd win the ball back in our offensive third due to her aggressiveness at trying to win the ball back and keep us on attack. It really didn't matter to Tedra who was scoring. It was, how can we get the ball in the best position to get in the back of the cage? And she just had a nose for the goal. The position she played put her on the side where a lot of the crosses were coming to her strong stick side. And as a result, she tracked that ball really well and finished the work of all the people in front of her. And she was gracious and shared that success, and the whole team did. I think when you have a group of such talented players, Tedra being, one of the top, their willingness to share the ball and share in the success is going to take a team super far.
Fazendario had a strong start to her college career, starting all but 1 game her freshman season. She ranked 2nd on the team in points with 14. But it was Fazendario's sophomore year where she first showed her dominance, leading the team in points and goals, including scoring the game-winning goal to clinch the Bullets' first conference title in 14 years.
I think anybody watching Tedra play could see her attention to detail. She really had a sense of anticipating where the ball was going to be. She was sneaky. She read off the ball as well. She would look at the people marking her and move in opposition of them. And so I think when people were scouting and preparing to play, they knew that she was one that you'd have to say, watch out, she's sneaky, she finds the open spot. Her stick is always a few inches longer as she would reach to save it from going out of bounds or make a tackle on someone who was trying to transition the ball out. She'd be someone that you're like, you couldn't take a play off around her. You always had to watch where she was going.
Fazendario's star continued to rise as she was named to the All-Centennial Conference first team and All-South Atlantic Region second team her junior year. That season, she again led the team in points and goals and set a single-game record in points and goals, both of which still stand today. Her senior year, Fazendario again earned all CC first-team honors and finished 2nd in the conference in scoring. She again helped the team win the CC title and reset the school record for wins with a record of 14-7. Today, Fazendario still ranks 3rd all-time in career goals with 43, 4th all-time in career points with 99, and 5th all-time in single-season goals.
Tedra has always been focused on the task. She came in and did her work and was always present at every practice and in every game. And as a result, I think the other players looked to model that. She would not let a bad play previously impact her next one. And I think people saw the value in that you don't want to hold on to any error or miscalculation of things. She was able to really let those things go and move on to the next play and be efficient. And I think people wanted to model that. She made others around her stay focused and engaged in the task at hand, and that was something that she really brought to the table. I also think she didn't let herself take it all too seriously. Yes, we were on a mission. We were trying to accomplish goals and get that Centennial Conference crown, but all the while, she fell in love with the game, and she still played as if, she was that little girl just picking up the stick. And I think that kind of attitude made others feel comfortable around her, that she just came in, played the game, got it done, walked away saying, on to the next activity. Super proud to have Tedra joining the Athletic Hall of Honor at Gettysburg. She represented the school and the athletic department just so famously with her passion for the game, with her consistent performance in her play, and with her commitment to her teammates to go after a goal. She is so worthy of this honor, and I am just so proud and couldn't be happier for her and her family.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tedra Fezendario.
Thank you so much for this honor. I'm not gonna cry. Thank you in particular, Coach, for nominating me and for those remarks. It's just incredible to see you and to hear you speak about me. I just appreciate it so much. And congratulations on your induction. It's so well deserved. What you did for the field hockey program here at Gettysburg is unprecedented. And I'm sure we'll hear more about that in just a little bit. Thank you to the voting committee for considering my accomplishments in the sport that I love so much. Thanks to the athletic directors and the Orange and Blue Club staff for hosting such a wonderful evening for us to share in our collective accomplishments. And thank you to my talented and beautiful daughter, Elena, for making the long trip with me from Denver. While tremendously rewarding, being a student athlete definitely comes with its challenges. Preseason, Coach, we're never gonna talk about that again. I'll just say it was rough. Memories of pondering what I got myself into, and more importantly, how could I get myself out? Getting up at the crack of dawn on Saturdays only to pass by students in the hall on their way back to bed from parties. Each of us thinking the other must be crazy. To being in a double overtime game situation and wondering if this would be the moment when my legs would finally give out. There were many times where I thought I had reached my limit, but the collective expectation of the team and our coaches who believed in us was to push past our limits. We all believed in each other that we could do that. As every athlete knows, the ability to shatter perceived limitations is something that benefits us in every aspect of our lives. And I have my athletic journey at Gettysburg to thank for that. As time passes and memories of individual accomplishments on the playing field tend to fade, those that continue to shine brightly are the relationships formed and the support I received from so many. from my teammates to coaches to trainers and athletic staff, and even professors who would show up at my games and congratulate me in class the next day. And of course, to my parents and grandmother, who drove 8 hours each way to watch me play in almost every game. Yes. I wish they could be here today. I know they're proud of me. The accomplishments for which I'm being honored here tonight were truly a team effort. Thank you all for helping to create some of the best memories of my life. Thanks.
Our next inductee can easily be regarded as one of the top women's swimmers to ever dive into a pool at Gettysburg. I believe we call a 32-0 record in the 50 and 100 freestyle races over her final 3 years pretty good. The top of the podium was a familiar place, ascending to the top step 13 times over the course of 4 conference championship meets. And that's just the start of what makes Heather Gallagher worthy of taking her rightful spot in the Hall of Athletic Honor.
As a member of one of Gettysburg College's most successful athletic programs, Heather Gallagher anchored the women's swimming team as one of the winningest performers in school history throughout her tenure from 1999 to 2003, charting her course through conference and national meets and into the Hall of Athletic Honor.
Heather was one of the great competitors in the history of the program. I mean, she was just so tough and hated to lose. I'm not sure anybody on either side, men or women, ever went sophomore, junior, senior year without losing their 2 primary races in a dual meet or a conference championship. It's pretty remarkable. She was a 50 freestyler, 100 freestyler primarily, and a 100 flyer. And that's pretty remarkable to go 3 years without losing. But that speaks to her competitive. She really didn't like to lose.
Gallagher burst onto the scene her freshman year, claiming 3 Centennial Conference titles and helping the team to a Centennial Conference championship victory. In the following 3 years, she added an additional 10 Centennial Conference champion titles and 25 All-Centennial Conference nods, including 13 first team.
She was a real athlete. She was strong, she was powerful, she was explosive, and had a great work ethic. She worked at her weaknesses. She worked in the weight room so hard. She was a real student of the sport and got better every year. And that's pretty rare in college swimming, to get better every year. And she managed to do that.
In her sophomore, junior, and senior seasons, Gallagher did not lose the 50 or 100 freestyle in dual competition, compiling a record of 32-0 for the 2 events. To this day, Gallagher is the only Centennial Conference swimmer to sweep both the 50 and 100 freestyle titles in 3 consecutive seasons, and she was named the conference's most outstanding performer her senior year. During her tenure, she held 4 different records and also garnered 2 All-American honorable mentions in 2001 and 2002. Gallagher was named to the Centennial Conference Silver Anniversary Team in 2018.
And she was a good leader. She was not overbearing. That team was full of good leaders in several classes. And there really was not, I would say, a dominant person. They learned how to coexist. They learned how to move in the same direction and accomplish the goals that they set out to do. And she was a big, big part of that. You know, like I said, she stayed positive. She really encouraged her teammates. You couldn't ask for more. She was a great person to coach and a great person to know.
Gallagher graduated cum laude from Gettysburg in 2003 and went on to earn her master's in clinical psychology from Towson University in 2005. She has worked as a senior behavioral health consultant for Mosaic Group since 2018. She and her husband Michael have 2 daughters, Maya and Kendall.
I still have the utmost respect for her. When she challenged me, it was always appropriate. I do remember when we butted heads, it was like swimming against her. I never won. She was a dream come true. She was a real athlete. Any coach would loves to coach people like Heather. She was deserving of being entered into the Hall of Athletic Honor, 100%.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Heather Gallagher.
Hello. I'm honored to stand here today, and I would love to thank the Orange and Blue Club, the Alumni Association, and the Athletic Department for their continued support for the student athletes and programs, Gettysburg College in general as well. Congrats to the fellow inductees, Tedra, Ryan, Garrick, Andy, and Coach Cantelli. I'm proud to be up here today among some true legendary athletes and coaches. When I came for my tour, recruiting visit and interview at Gettysburg, the interviewer was a sweet, younger woman who loved Gettysburg College. I remember her telling me that whenever she sees cars with Gettysburg stickers, she waves and gets so excited. And I thought, whoa, this woman's a little crazy. Fast forward 10, 20 years to me driving around Baltimore with my daughters, pointing out every Gettysburg sticker that I see and waving. I'm always and have been always proud to be a Bullet, and whenever I meet other alumni in the area, it's clear that they are too, and that's special. You don't see that with every college, at least not to that extent. I want to spend most of my time up here thanking some of the people who I owe this honor to. Thank you to my swim coaches. My first coach, Frank McGuire, who gave me my first pair of goggles a few weeks into my first practice and told me it would make a world of a difference, and it did. Coach Kirk, who encouraged me to break his daughter's 50 freestyle record in high school, and when I did, told me it would be the first of many, which at the time I didn't believe. Dave Drouse, who taught me what it's like to really push myself beyond my max and practice and exceed my own expectations. Coach Joe Thier, who changed my life. He taught me a lot about swimming, significantly more about myself. He taught me discipline, consistency, strength, and persistence. He believed in me before I believed in myself. And while it's not an easy concept to teach teenagers at 5:30 a.m., he taught us to dream big. Kevin Jobert, my current swim coach. I swim for a master's team in Maryland that's a mix of anyone and everyone, and I love it. He tells me a lot of things, like my freestyle form sucks, and I'm gonna hurt my shoulder, and that I need to swim with my head down more. He knows his stuff, and I do listen, and I continue to learn a lot well into my 40s. Mike and Cammie. I think Cammie played a bigger role on our team than she even realizes. One example, I remember trying to go to an open house my senior year in Baltimore for a graduate school. One afternoon. These were the days before GPS, back in the 1900s, like my girls like to refer to it. I must have circled the Baltimore Beltway 3 times, completely lost in the pouring rain, and I completely had a breakdown. I had no idea where I was going or how to get back. Eventually did make my way back to campus, and practice had started about 30 minutes before. Coach Raleigh took one look at me, late for practice, and was about to say something, and then realized I was soaking wet, had obviously been crying, and was really struggling. He immediately said, "Cammie, go talk to Gallagher." Cammie did. In her caring but factual way, she sat with me, talked me through my day, not minimizing how I was feeling, even though I was clearly overreacting, but sat with me to talk, told me to go home and lay down. You may not remember that, Cammie, but I do, and thank you. Coach Raleigh, as you mentioned, we had a unique swimmer-coach relationship. You knew how to push me, knew my triggers and my strengths. You encouraged me to be my best. My very last race of junior year was a 400 freestyle relay at conferences, and I was the anchor. We came in second. We were 4th when I dove in, and I swam the fastest split ever in the conference. And his response in a slow Southern accent was, "You didn't beat her, did you?" I didn't, But he knew that's what I cared about. He knew that I wanted to help my team reclaim the relay title. I wasn't worried about my split. I knew he was proud of me. But he knew that's what I was thinking. We lost conferences that year, but he knew that's the kind of race that would stick with me and would be my motivation looking ahead to our senior year, and it was. Another MKR moment that always sticks with me during our freshman year, I was sitting off to the side of the pool deck before practice, and he came over to talk to me. And within the talk, he referenced the word scrappy and called me scrappy. And I was this 18-year-old who sort of had this imposter syndrome. I was offended, I was scared, and I remember thinking, he knows I don't really belong here. But that's not what he was thinking. He recognized that my path was a little bit different than most, a little bit shorter. I'd started swimming a little bit later than most people. And I am scrappy, resourceful, hardworking, and he saw that early on. I'm proud to be scrappy, and thank you for recognizing that and giving me something to think about as I grew and matured and really understood what you meant. Coach Raleigh always knew how to keep meetings and practices fun. He allowed us to be college students and truly enjoy our time together. He allowed a perfect balance of fun and hard work, and thank you for all you have done for me and this program. Thank you to my teammates. Thank you. I love you all, especially my 2003 girls, all here today. Not only these girls, but the whole team who made the 4 years the most memorable 4 years. So many ridiculous stories and strong bonds. Thank you for being there for me and allowing me to be there for you. Your support and laughs and forever friendship. With my daughters, we travel a lot to places for swim meets and other sports, and I often run into a lot of Gettysburg College swimming alumni, and it truly makes my day. Swimming is one of the few sports where the men's and women's team practice alongside of each other every day. This forms a bond that I think is so special, one of mutual respect. No matter how often we tease each other, we all knew we would have each other's backs, and still do. So thank you for the men's team for always keeping us entertained. Mom and Dad, I've always worked so hard to make sure my sister and I could participate in all the sports and activities we wanted to. You always encouraged us to not give up and try our best without putting too much pressure on us. My dad was one of my first coaches of softball at age 6 and continued to coach my softball and basketball teams as I got older. And my mom was always in the stands making sure we had what we needed for practice and games. Swimming was a new sport to us all when I joined, and it was a learning curve. They allowed me to forge my own path in this new sport with new people, always supportive and never pushing too hard. Coming to almost every meet as they were learning what the strokes and events were. Thank you for always being so supportive of myself, my accomplishments, and my family, and your granddaughters' athletic journeys in their various sports. Thank you. I'd be lying if I didn't say it wasn't a little strange to be standing up here accepting an award for being one of the top swimmers at Gettysburg when I'm not even the top swimmer in my family. Swimming was part of what brought my husband Mike and I together, and we met through a mutual friend, Logan, and our shared love for this sport. Mike's a former D1 swimmer and Olympic trials qualifier, current swim coach, and self-professed swim nerd. Since we met, he's always been supportive of any crazy idea I have or goal that I set. He fiercely loves his family and is the balance to our family with his never-ending stream of dad jokes. Thank you for always supporting me and our family, and I love you. Maya and Kendall, also better swimmers than me. My daughter Kendall has taught me patience from a young age. She literally taught me to stop and smell the roses. She loved flowers, and in the midst of a busy day, rushing somewhere, she'd insist we stop at every pretty flower we passed. She's fierce, witty, and the most unpredictable person I know. I envy your creativity and ability to make anyone and everyone feel accepted. I'm so proud of you and love you. Maya, your talent and intelligence allows your balance of seriousness and fun to shine through. You're one of the few people I know who balances it so well. I'm so excited to see where your future takes you, and I feel so honored to be part of your journey. I love our weekends traveling to swim meets and getting to see you mature in so many ways. I'm so proud of you, and I love you. And finally, my cousin Chris was a 1998 graduate of Gettysburg College and a wrestler here. He introduced me to Gettysburg. The very first visit I had to Gettysburg was when Chris was a student here, and my parents took us to visit him. I was about 15 years old, and my clearest memory was it being about 130 degrees outside, and my parents driving us around on an hours-long audio battlefield tour. Shockingly, but luckily, I gave Gettysburg another chance and looked into it a couple of years later as a potential school. Chris loved it here. I still remember his excitement when I told him I was definitely coming to this school, and he was thrilled to have, quote, somewhere to stay for the next 4 years. Unfortunately, he never got that chance, and as many of you know, Chris did pass away in the summer of 1999. I wasn't sure if I could come here a few months later with memories of him everywhere. My Uncle Joe, Aunt Lily, and Amy convinced me that Chris would have wanted nothing more than me to be able to share this experience with him, and I'm so glad that I did. We're both Bullets, and we have a very special bond, and I'm forever grateful to Chris for leading the way. I'm always proud to be a Bullet, and I'm incredibly grateful for this honor. I look forward to many future events here at the college and in Baltimore, continuing to share memories of the days here and my years with family and friends, and maybe strangers I meet with Gettysburg stickers on their car, and representing what it means to be a Gettysburg College graduate professionally and personally. Thank you.
The term force in the middle of the defense can be thrown around a lot on the football field, but it's the perfect description for our next inductee. He stopped the ball carrier, he intercepted passes, he scored touchdowns after intercepting passes. He did it all on the defensive side of the ball. 3 years of triple-digit tackles is unheard of these days, but let's hear more about why Ryan Moore nabs his spot in the Hall of Athletic Honor.
Ryan Moore's defensive numbers as a member of the Gettysburg football team were almost unheard of, and he still holds 3 program records more than 20 years later. With such a presence on the team, in the Centennial Conference, and on the program leaderboard, it is no surprise that Ryan Moore earned a spot in the Hall of Athletic Honor.
When I think of linebacker play for me for 39 years, he's probably the first guy I think of. Just because of how good an athlete he was. He had such great instincts, and he had such great speed and lateral movement that he was going to run somebody down. If the guy thought he was going to outrun him, he was wrong. I mean, he was the fastest kid on our team. He had very good instincts, great instincts for the ball when it was in the air, obviously, by some of the stats that he has. And he was a great leader. He could have played tailback for us. I mean, that's the kind of athlete that he was.
Moore established himself as a defensive leader from his first season. He started all 10 games at inside linebacker and led the team in tackles and interceptions. During his sophomore year, Moore again led the team in tackles with 133, the most by a Bullet in 21 years. He put up double-digit tackles in all but one game, including a season-high 19 tackles in the opener against Hampton-Sydney. For his efforts, he garnered his first of 5 All-America honors as a second-team selection by the Lutheran Brotherhood. He was also selected All-Centennial Conference Honorable Mention and All-ECAC First Team.
He was intelligent. He knew exactly what we were trying to do defensively. He also understood what the offense was doing, our opponent's offense was doing. I mean, he was very, very good with his knowledge of their game plan. He just gave his effort, and guys see it. I think his leadership was more by example than it was by yelling and screaming at guys. You know, he made playing football defensively, it was contagious. His abilities and his effort and his enthusiasm for the game was contagious, and that's how I would say his leadership was.
During his junior year, Moore was again selected an All-American Honorable Mention by 2 publications and made the All-CC second team. He led the team in tackles for the 3rd straight season, posting 109 on the year. Moore also set a school record with 2 interception returns for touchdowns. He rounded out his collegiate career by receiving his 4th and 5th All-American selections, including a first-team honor from D3Football.com. He also earned All-Region and All-CC first-team honors. He set the program's single-season record for interceptions returned for touchdowns, including 2 in the season opener against Lebanon Valley. He also set the career records for total tackles, interception return yards, and career interception return touchdowns. He led the conference in tackles and posted double-digit tackles in 6 games. Today, Moore still tops the leaderboard in total tackles, interception return yards and touchdowns, and ranks second all-time in interceptions. He also leads the Centennial Conference in career interceptions for a linebacker.
Playing Lebanon Valley in the opening game, and in either the first or second series, he picks off a pass underneath a curl pattern behind him. He just picks it off and runs it in. Nobody was going to catch him. We knew that. So they go right back on offense. They run the same play. He picks it off again. I mean, I don't know who that quarterback was for Lebanon Valley, but I'm not sure his coach was really happy with him. I mean, he just picked that thing off like it was nothing. I mean, he just so instinctive.
Moore graduated with honors from Gettysburg in 2002. In 2010, he started Moore Insurance Network, which he operates to this day. He and his wife Melissa live in Hatboro, Pennsylvania, and have 3 sons, Ryan Jr., Braden, and Kyle.
430 tackles for a career. That doesn't happen. That's a lot of tackles. And it's amazing to me what kind of player he was. He was a great player. He was a very, very special young man and very talented young man that I loved coaching. I loved coaching because he loved what he was doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ryan Moore.
Good evening, everyone. Great to hear Coach Streeter say those words, but pales in comparison to Prez's Bobby Boucher reference. That was phenomenal. I'd like to start by congratulating my fellow inductees on your great coaching and playing careers. It's an honor to be here, and I'm very humbled to be part of such a great class and among everyone that's been inducted prior to me. To be mentioned with like Paul Smith and Barry Streeter it's an honor, very honored. I'm grateful to be able to share this moment with my family and friends, my wife Melissa, my brothers, my sister-in-law, my parents, like I said, my family and friends. They've all traveled great distance to be here, and I really appreciate you guys being here. I feel obligated to give a tribute to the greatest game ever invented. I started playing football when I was 7 years old. Since that day, it's been a part of my life. And I remember a lot of great moments on the field, but when I think of what I appreciate most about football, it's what it's given me off the field. We've had, with my family in particular, it's brought us together. We've had great moments around big games. I have a great memory of being in my living room with my brother and my parents, and we were jumping around, and we saw my brother Rick score a touchdown against Richmond. He played for Lehigh, and it was such a great moment. So the game of football, it means a lot to me. For moments like that, even after when I was playing, being able to watch my boys, being able to be a coach for them. My wife and I were volunteers in their youth football experience. It's stuff like that. The game's given me a lot, so it means a lot. This award means a lot for me because of all those reasons. And You know, I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for a lot of the support of my family and friends. So I have a few people I'd like to thank. I'll start with Coach Streeter. Coach, I loved playing for you. He gave such legendary speeches. I remember just wanting to run through a wall for you and do the best I possibly could. I knew, like I said, I knew I wanted to just play hard. I knew I didn't want to be a Sonny. That's a reference for my teammates over there. But you know, what stuck with me the most about playing for Coach Streeter is he cared about his players, and I really feel like he cared about me as a person, not just a student athlete. And the lessons he taught me and that type of care that he had is something that I tried to emulate. So thank you, Coach Streeter, for all your many lessons. I'd like to thank Coach Campo, Coach Graham, Coach Hibbs. Those are the coaches that I've had a lot of time with outside of Coach Streeter. They were my position coaches and coordinators. I want to say thank you to my Gettysburg teammates and my bros outside of football. A few of them are here tonight. They were always the first to congratulate me if I made a big play or had a good game, and they were definitely the first after the game to knock me back down to reality. I remember my buddy Chris Hoffman saying, "Relax, Chief, anybody could have made those interceptions." So I appreciate you guys, I love you. And I'll tell you what, the best thing that I got from Gettysburg College is dozens of lifelong friendships, so I'm appreciative of my brothers. I want to say thank you to the Interboro High School football program, the greatest high school coaching staff ever assembled. Coach Lennox, Coach D-Rock, Coach Mills, Leary, Acker, and Foltz. And if I missed anyone, I apologize, but that program taught me that winning was fun. But it came at a price, and we did a lot of winning. So that was a great experience for me. I want to show love to the Glen Olden Youth Club, all their coaches and volunteers. I had a great youth playing experience. I want to say thank you to my South Scott Ave boys. My buddy Todd's here tonight. Verassi, Barrar, Stuarty, Cunningham, Devaney. I grew up on a very competitive street. I remember watching my neighbor, Bob Barrar, play football at Interboro High School, and I just wanted to do what he did. I want to say thank you to my cousin Jim. Made it easy for an unsure freshman to come to Gettysburg and have a best friend and roommate day one here. And we had great times watching each other play. He actually played for two of the greatest Gettysburg hoops teams in the history of the school. So thank you, Jim. I'd like to say thank you to my other family members who have always supported me, my aunts, uncles, and cousins, many of whom are here tonight, the Tals, Colettis, Eckhoffs, the Moores, the Herners. You guys have always supported me ever since I was a kid, and I appreciate that. I want to say thank you to my Uncle Mark for driving me up to Gettysburg. Showed me the campus. Probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. I want to say thank you to my Aunt Linda and Uncle Jim, who were here my 4 years. Obviously, their son was my roommate. And some of my best interceptions were the care packages you left for me to give to Jim. They didn't get to him. I want to say thank you to two guys that you might as well etch their names on the plaque next to mine. Those are my brothers. I had the privilege of playing with Rick. I had the privilege of watching Patrick play. And I wanted to be as fast as Rick and as tough as Pat. And, you know, we, just like a house full of boys, we fought, we argued, but we always loved each other. And we always had each other's back. And when you have that around you all the time, it made it easy to compete against anyone else. I want to say thank you to the greatest coach I ever had, my very first coach. My dad. Sorry. He introduced me to the game, and he taught me how to be tough. Thank you, Dad. I love you too. And then saving the best for last. Sorry. I didn't think it would be hard. My ultimate supporter, my mom, who I can tell you with certainty I wouldn't be up here without her support. She may not have always known the position I was playing, but she was always there, and she was the first person I wanted to see coming off the field, win or lose. And, in closing, I want to say thank you to the Orange and Blue Club. I am very honored right now. Gave me another reason to bring my family and friends together. Tonight's it's a very, very great night, but I'm without my 3 boys who are my greatest accomplishments, one that I share with my wife. And I just want those guys to know I miss them, and I'm just proud to be their dad. Thank you.
Lacrosse goalies can often be described as one of a kind. While our next inductee is certainly in a class of his own, establishing the benchmark that 40 years of bullet netminders would try to achieve after his graduation. And as of yet, none have been able to eclipse him in the record books. So let's hear more about what Garrick Robinson has claimed this spot in the Hall of Athletic Honor.
Garrick Robinson stood tall all 4 years of his Gettysburg tenure as the backstop of the men's lacrosse defense, minding the cage. Robinson still stands as the program leader in saves in a game, season, and career, solidifying his place on the Gettysburg record board and in the Hall of Athletic Honor.
First of all, skills and desire to play competitive, wanted to be good, and also wanted the people that were playing around him to be good. I think he enjoyed himself in the college environment, but when it came to playing, he didn't like to fool around. When the whistle blew, he was all across, and he did a heck of a job. And I think he helped the defensemen that were around him, obviously, and I think they helped him in many ways too.
Robinson began his record-setting ways his freshman year, appearing in 13 games and recording 285 saves, setting the program record for the most saves in a season. He made 20 or more saves in 9 different games, including 31 saves against Western Maryland. His sophomore season, he again had a strong year with 150 saves and a 56.8 save percentage. He made double-figure saves in 9 games, including a season-best 21 against Bucknell to backstop the defense.
He was always trying to help them, talking. And not only just where's the ball and all that kind of stuff, but hey, they're doing this. They're isolating our right side. So look over to the left, be careful, be conscious of this type of thing. And then he was good and quick in the cage.
During Robinson's junior year, his save percentage reached 67.7%, and he set the program record for saves in a game with 33 against Franklin and Marshall. Of the 9 games in which he appeared, he made double-digit saves in 8 of them. Robinson's career culminated in a Middle Atlantic Conference championship his senior year and an All-MAC second-team recognition. That year, He helped the team to an 11-5 overall record, which set a school record for victories in a season. He set a personal best in goals against average with 6.62 and made 10 or more saves in 12 games, including 4 games with 20 or more saves. In the MAC, he tallied the second best save percentage in the league at 77.3%.
You could pick out people that needed to have defensive attention on a team even before the game. You do a scouting report and you go over a report. But Gary, I think, has a little conversation with his defensive people before or after I did, however you want to put it, just to make sure that they knew what was going on. And he was right. Lots of times, he was good in that way. And it went off to the midfielders too, like in clearing the ball. He was aware of what was going on in the clears, and he would easily give direction or communicate with the other players, to try to make it an easier clear, or easier for them to recognize what was going on.
After graduating from Gettysburg, Robinson earned his master's in sports administration from St. Thomas University in 1986. Over the past 30 years, Robinson has served in many roles, including athletic director, teacher, and lacrosse coach. Currently, Robinson is the owner of Orlando Lacrosse Company and Robinson Cruise and Travel. He has been the head boys lacrosse coach at Lake Mary since 2012, leading the team to state championship victories in 2023 and 2024. He and his wife, Amy, live in Lake Mary, Florida, and have 2 sons, Owen and Jack.
I think he deserves it because he earned it here when he was here playing, and he's shown that he has certain values and good judgment and intelligence to promote it and raise it at other places. And I think the lacrosse family will appreciate him also, as well as the Gettysburg College family.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gary Robinson.
Yes, Joe, I did have a good time at Gettysburg College. Just to illustrate, I think the great thing is we've got folks from my generation in the 80s, with Carol and myself, and all the way up into the 2000s. Of course, big difference. Tedra came up here with her notes on a phone. My notes are actually on a dry cleaning cardboard, so bear with me as we go here. We flew up here. I had to adapt. First of all, a lot of thank yous. First of all, Chris Bemke, who I believe is responsible for nominating me for this honor, so thank you, Chris. Bill Pyron, who relentlessly tried to track me down to actually get me to answer the phone to know that this honor was in place. Obviously, Luke Stilson and the Orange and Blue Club for all the hard work. You can tell I organize events, and they've been working hard at this for months now, so I appreciate that effort. My family has been put in a role where they have had to follow me around the country for business and coaching events, and they've made great sacrifices. So a quick shout out to my son Owen, my son Jack, and my lovely wife Amy, who actually is a Bryn Mawr graduate, who I met in Coral Gables, Florida, and I don't honestly think she ever would have paid me attention to me until she found out I went to Gettysburg, and she said, okay, this guy went to a good school, he might have half a brain. So I love you all, because here you are again for another lacrosse event, and of course we flew up from Orlando. My teammates, I'm so thrilled and actually shocked at so many people showed up tonight. Quickly, the ones I didn't expect, Kurt Snyder and Jamie Conway and Brian Bowersox. I did not expect them to be here, and just absolutely thrilled that you guys made it. And then I have Rich Fitzgerald, who was my college roommate, Chris Bemke, of course, Nick Kelly, and Brian Bauer, or Dr. Brian Bowersox, I'm sorry, Paul Bowersox from Westminster, as I am too, all for you being here. They're all special people. I'm very proud of them. They're all very successful in what they've done in life, and I'll talk about that in a moment. And then too, I'm truly honored. I've met a few of the inductees tonight, just casual chatting, and just so impressed with you and honored to be inducted with you. Carol, I've been aware of. I don't think I really knew Carol when we were at school, but I've been following her career closely because obviously I've been coaching myself too, and I was always keenly aware of her success. So I'm pretty tickled to be inducted with her. So two things I want to talk about. We have 5 minutes, right? Or less? Good luck. First of all, how Gettysburg affected, the things that have happened in my life and the success I've had in my life, and the legacy I think has been left via Gettysburg, via me, to the countless people I've coached throughout the decades. So it all starts with Coach Joe Dinali. When I first here arrived at Gettysburg, we had fall ball practice. It was over there. I can't remember the name of the new facilities we built a couple years ago, but it was just an open field, and that's where fall ball practice started. And so I was a freshman from Westminster, Maryland, came out of a pretty good program, and Joe came up to me in the first fall ball practice, and he said, "Look, I don't know much about playing goalie, but I got this great book." Now, where do you go from there? The good thing is I'm a very independent person, very independent, and I probably didn't want or need any coaching in my own mind at that time. But this is what happened. As I reflect back on my career at Gettysburg and the experience I went through and what Joe Dinali did, it is amazing, and it affected me so much. And so here's the story. Joe did not have that lacrosse pedigree. He did not have the big name. He didn't have, he wasn't written up in Inside Lacrosse magazine, et cetera. But he had this quiet determination that he was going to make Gettysburg College a lacrosse power. And he didn't care what anyone else said about it or what they thought about it. He was just going to get it done. And he just rolled up his sleeves. And I can't tell you how many times in my career I look back to how Joe approached this thing and I applied it to myself. It's 100% acutely tied in, and it's the God's honest truth. So Joe would do things like schedule incredibly hard teams. Okay, we would play Patriot League teams, Bucknell, Lafayette, Drexel. We would play teams at that time. The Division I, Division II world was kind of gray and crossed over, but we would play Towson, Loyola, Mount St. Mary's. For a Division III school, these were tough games. And Joe didn't care. He just wanted to make us better, and he would throw us out there. He was also one heck of a recruiter. We had amazing kids from amazing high school programs across the country come to this school. And again, you don't realize it maybe as a kid, as you're going through the process, but I look back at it now as a high school coach who has kids recruited. And what Joe did to get people to Gettysburg here, at that time when Gettysburg was not a lacrosse power, to get them to come here was pretty amazing. But it's Joe's determination and ability to say, I'm going to get something done, and I don't care what anyone else thinks, has applied to this story, which I would like to say, what would Coach Dinali do? Well, here's the first example. I get out of Gettysburg. I'm interested in the sports administration field, wanted to work in Division I athletics. Western Maryland College at that time, which is now McDaniel College, they had a sports administration graduate program, so I started taking classes there when I was an assistant coach of the program, and the director there said, look, there's only 3 programs in the country this time who are really going after this. And one's in Massachusetts, one's Ohio, and one's this tiny school in Miami, Florida called St. Thomas University. Well, I looked at it, et cetera, and if I'm Coach Dinali, I said, what would Coach Joe Dinali do? And he would say, you go to the place where things are happening, you go to Miami. And I took that risk. I didn't know a soul, not a person. This was Miami during the 1980s. If you have any historical context, you know, Miami was a crazy place in the 1980s. But I ended up going there. I got a graduate assistantship, and things started to work out. And to make a long story short, my plan was to play in division, or be an administrator in D1 athletics. And then I heard through a local club team I was playing with, some little tiny private school, wanted to start a lacrosse program. The headmaster was from Massachusetts. His kid wanted to play lacrosse. They didn't have a program. I went in and talked to him. I'm 26 years old. I walked out the door. I'm athletic director. They're going to start a football program. I'm going to start a lacrosse program, and I'm teaching like 8 classes. Got paid $18,250, and I couldn't have been happier. And off I went. So, you know, onward, had success there, won a state championship. And then the morning after I won the state championship, I got a phone call from someone, a father of a kid I coach, and said, look, I got this opportunity to go start up a special school in Saudi Arabia. And I'm like, yeah, right, okay. So, but again, it kind of going back to, you know, Joe, and Joe would be like, he was irreverent in the sense of like, no, you got to just do what you got to do. Don't worry about what other people say. So, make a long story short, I ended up in Saudi Arabia for 2 years. I come back, I get back into the private school world, and then the opportunity to work at a very prestigious private school as the AD. They hired me as a football coach. I didn't know anything about football. Okay, Ryan would have been a much better candidate for him than me. Again, my theme here, my premise is that Joe just didn't care what other people thought. He was just going to try his best and the darndest to do things. And I went from really not being I played high school football, but I never coached it. So I went from that situation and I applied myself, and it worked out pretty well because I didn't listen to the noise, and I just went for it. So back to the point here, you know, thank you, Joe, because I think you gave me the backbone and the example, you know, of starting from a day where I don't know anything about your position, but here's a book to seeing how hard you worked and how you just were determined to organize and people towards a common goal. And of course, that resulted in that MAC championship in our senior year. Legacy. So, as I've alluded to, I'm from Westminster, Maryland. You know, my experience here at Gettysburg is much more than lacrosse. I came to Gettysburg, I think pretty much kind of an introverted kid. And lo and behold, I'm thrown into the fire here with a bunch of people from Long Island. We're very proud. Long Island people are pretty proud, agreed? Yeah. I mean, we'd argue about everything. Who had better telephone poles, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, but it really forced me into situations. And the next thing you know, at Gettysburg, I had to interact, even though I grew up about 35 minutes from here. I was interacting with people from Massachusetts, Rhode Island, all parts of New York, Pennsylvania, et cetera, et cetera. And that experience made me grow as a person. And I'm very grateful to that. Like, again, I only had to drive 30 minutes to be here, but I felt like I went, you know, halfway across the globe to become the person that I am today. So legacy. So I have that, you know, getting out of the comfort zone world that I preach heavily to all the people that I coach today. And then I think about, you know, 2 particular professors, not being professors. One was a coach who was not a lacrosse coach, and one was a professor. And there was one particular coach, I won't name his name, I don't know if he was here too long, but he was a football coach, but he was also doing a swimming PE class, and Chris Bemke took that class. And I can tell you right now, I've been never more fearful of a man in my life. It was a swimming class, and that guy treated it like we were preparing for the Super Bowl every day, and it was tough. It was physically tough. And I look back at it, though, and I say to myself, you know what, I'd like to play for that guy. if I look back at it and everything I've gone through as a coach. And so there's this isolated individual here at the Berg, but it greatly influenced me. The other one is Robert Fredrickson, Dr. Robert Fredrickson. He was an English teacher, a literature teacher. And we couldn't have been more polar opposite. He was, kind of a hippie type dude. I was probably more of a, straight line, old school athlete type dude. But the number one thing I always felt good about Gettysburg is I felt like I really knew how to write, and the ability to write and communicate in writing played a great role in my success beyond Gettysburg. And Fredrickson was as intense and passionate as I was about my athletics. He was that passionate about his teaching of literature and composition, and he pushed me very hard. And I think he got the best out of me. And I actually did teach for quite a bit after my years getting out of Gettysburg. So, again, the experience is just not an athletic experience. It's everything that Gettysburg gave me in terms of getting out of my comfort zone and being challenged by other people. So. The bottom line is, I take that now, and I've been coaching for 40 years, football and lacrosse. I gave up football a little while back, just lacrosse, and as you've seen, I've been fortunate to have some success. But I do say that one of the greatest roles I have is to influence young people and try to give them perspective and tools to fight with to be successful in the future. And I can tell you to a T, the stories that I tell you here tonight and many, many others, the Joe Dinoli story, so forth and so on. I pass them on to the kids that I coach. And the fortunate thing is, of course, now I've been doing so long, I have guys now who have played for me now to go out, and now they have families and they have kids of their own, and they will come back and they will pass on the same stories. So that Gettysburg legacy lives on. Very appreciative. Thank you again for all being here. Absolutely thrilled. Thank you very much.
Five-tool players do it all on the baseball diamond. And our next inductee definitely brought all 5 tools to Gettysburg. He could hit for power, field, throw, even run a little bit. He helped usher in a new era of bullet baseball. So let's dive deeper into why Andy Shealy earned his spot in the Hall of Athletic Honor tonight.
Gettysburg College baseball in the late 1980s was marked by unprecedented success for the program. A name synonymous with that success was Andy Shealy, who emerged as a team leader on and off the diamond and proved why he deserves to join the elite group of Hall of Athletic Honor members.
What I saw from Andy right away was very obvious to me. My first year as an assistant baseball coach in 1986 was he number one, he cared very deeply about his team, about his teammates, talked about the program, cared about winning. And he showed right off the bat that he was a guy who could really play. Offensively, he led our team in 1986 in virtually every offensive category. And and played a great center field. So that was obvious to me from the beginning. He was a strong player and a very strong leader who was very passionate about his team, his program, and winning.
As a 4-year starter, Shealy's breakout campaign was his sophomore year in 1986. That spring, Shealy led the team in batting average, runs, hits, RBI, and slugging, among others, while leading Gettysburg to their first conference title in 24 years. He also garnered his first all-conference first-team honor.
Andy was a very analytical player. Really studied the game, really knew a lot of the ins and outs and things. So I think that was one of his major assets, as well as his physical attributes. I always said he was a 5-tool player, and a 5-tool player in baseball is a guy who offensively hits for average, hits for power, and runs very well. Defensively, as an outfielder. Tracks the ball extremely well and has a good throwing arm, not just arm strength, but also arm accuracy. So those were the things from a physical standpoint that made Andy excel as a player on the field. He was outstanding in virtually every aspect of the game.
During Sheely's junior and senior campaigns, he was again one of the team leaders offensively and helped the Bullets win a second Middle Atlantic Conference title in 1987. In 1988, during Sheely's senior year, he was again named to the All-Conference First Team and earned an American Baseball Coaches Association All-Region Honorable Mention. That season, Sheely finished with a career-high .391 batting average while leading the team in RBI, stolen bases, walks, and slugging. Sheely carried a 21-game hitting streak through the back half of the season, helping the Bullets set a new program record for wins and make the NCAA tournament for the first time in 26 years. Sheely finished his career by setting single-season records for walks and RBI.
Well, I think one of the things that says a lot about Andy, obviously being an outstanding player and the type of guy he was, when Nate Simon in 2014 broke Andy's school RBI record. All right, Andy wrote to Nate a note and reminded Nate, and congratulated him on the RBI record, but emphasized to Nate that the RBI record really was a team achievement because you had to have guys getting on base in front of you, and you had to have some tough guys hitting behind you so they couldn't pitch around you. So, and that I think said a lot about Andy. I mean, he was obviously proud of the record. He was, happy for Nate that he broke it, but I think his expression of that it wasn't necessarily, while it is an individual record, how much of a team achievement that record was, and that meant a lot to Andy. He was, number one, obviously he was an outstanding player on the field, but he was also an excellent leader, an exceptional leader, on the field, off the field, in the locker room, on road trips. So his leadership, as well as his athletic ability, made Andy such a great asset to our team and helped us establish our program at that time.
Sheely received his Juris Doctor from Penn State Dickinson Law in 1991 and has worked as an attorney in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania for 33 years. He and his wife, Kathy, have a son, Aiden, and a daughter, Anna.
Andy Sheely deserves to be in the Gettysburg College Hall of Athletic Honor because he was a major contributor as both an outstanding player and leader to three of the most exceptional teams in the history of Gettysburg College baseball.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Andy Sheely.
It's always great to come back to Gettysburg College. The best decision in my life was to come to Gettysburg College. I got a great education here. I had professors who prepared me well for law school and as an attorney and counselor at law. I learned a lot of valuable life lessons as a resident advisor, working with student life for 2 years. I had a lot of fun and a lot of great relationships with the students. Every year I was here, it was a fun and great environment. I will never forget Gettysburg from 1984 till '88. And most importantly, I met my wife here, Kathy Sheely, class of 1989, who we've been married now for 33 years, and we got 2 great kids. I'd like to recognize my son, Aiden, a 2023 graduate of Waynesburg University, and my daughter, Anna, who flew in last night from the University of Pittsburgh, who's a sophomore. Thank you both for coming tonight. I'd like to thank my brother, Steve Sheely, for being here. During my term at Gettysburg, he was in the United States Navy and was serving as an aviator and serving the country at that period of time, and he really didn't get a chance to see much of what happened here. And I'm glad he could see tonight a little bit of snapshots of what myself and our team accomplished during those 4 years. I tried very hard to get my mother to come. My mom is now 94 years old, and I would have loved for her to be here. She just didn't feel comfortable coming, but my mom was one of my biggest supporters during my 4 years at Gettysburg. She came to every game she could. Even when she didn't go to the away games, she used to read Mr. Kenworthy's little newspaper blurbs, and she'd cut them out and mail them to me, and I used to go to the P.O. box and get them, and I got that extra boost for the upcoming game. So, Mom, thank you. I'm sorry you can't be here. I love you, and you were a great mom and a great parent. My dad passed away about 11 years ago, and he would have really liked to be here tonight, too. When I was a kid, I remember him getting mail from a college that really had a strange name. I didn't like it. As I got more interested in college sports, I kind of found out my dad actually played football at that strange school's name. And while a lot of my cousins went to big schools like Penn State, I kind of decided that my father's choice of a smaller school was where I was going to be. And I decided on Gettysburg College. My dad never said he was disappointed that I didn't apply to his alma mater, but I'd rather choose to be a bullet every day other than the cross between a horse and a jackass mascot used by Muhlenberg College. No offense, Dad. If my dad was here, he would probably resemble Keith Quigley. Keith, are you still here? Keith is there in the middle table. Keith and my father achieved many of the same things. Keith was a graduate of Gettysburg, played in the baseball program, was a catcher here in the early 1960s. Keith was a Marine. Keith became a district attorney, and Keith became a county judge. Same thing as my father. I'm so glad Judge Quigley could be here tonight because he really has been a family friend for many years, and he really reminds me of my dad a lot. And Judge Quigley, thanks for being here tonight. I'd like to thank the Orange and Blue Club for this honor and this award. I'd like to congratulate the Tedra, Heather, Ryan, Garrick, and Carol on your nominations and your great athletic accomplishments at Gettysburg College. At some point during the 1986 year, 3 baseball players, Seth Bendian, Brian Golden, and myself went to then athletic director Bob Holton, and it was after our first MAC championship, and I guess we felt pretty full of ourselves. But we asked Mr. Holton if we could have a meeting. He said, yes, come on in, guys. And we asked him to help the team get better by perhaps getting a trip to Florida, getting a trip, or getting the trip to get this summer, to get more at-bats, to get more games in. One of the detriments of playing at Gettysburg was that it was cold and wet in the spring months. And as a result, we lost a lot of games, and we believed if we got to Florida, we'd have a lot more games, a lot more reps. Our arms wouldn't be falling off because of the cold weather. We also asked Mr. Holton for a pitching machine. We didn't have a pitching machine back then. And we also asked for a hitting tunnel and an outdoor hitting cage. And by the time we graduated, and I don't know how this happened, and I'm sure it was with the help of the Orange and Blue Club, through the help of Coach Campo, we got all those things, and it helped us achieve a lot of wins, another conference championship, and a trip to the NCAA tournament. All of those things were fantastic, and I have to thank the Orange and Blue Club for supporting our team and listening to the players and helping us achieve getting the things we needed to be better baseball players. I need to thank Coach Streeter. Coach Streeter, thank you for encouraging me to come to Gettysburg College. It was for both the academic and for the athletic experience. My freshman year of football was an eye-opener, Coach Streeter, especially meeting Ray Condren and his Tuesday and Wednesday thump sessions as a freshman on the demo defense. Gettysburg football, and as Ryan indicated, to me, always epitomized the physical and the mental toughness of what it meant to be a Gettysburg College athlete. And those same attributes helped me, Coach Streeter, as a baseball player. Coach Streeter, you also deserve a lot of credit for bringing a lot of baseball players to Gettysburg College under the guise or hidden secret of a football player. Seth Bendian, football player. Dennis Maloney, football player. Sean Murphy, great pitcher, football player. Tony Wechter, great football player, absolutely fantastic baseball player. And Chip Rossi. Chip's here tonight. Chip, thanks for coming. It's great to see you. All those things, Coach Streeter, were positive influences for me. The one thing I remember you said in the first week of football camp that year, and you were trying to remind us as young men about the priorities of life. Those being faith, family, your academics and your careers, and then everything else. So thank you, Coach Streeter, for your wise wisdom and for helping me become a better baseball player. Baseball, like other team sports, teaches you a lot about your life. I learned that if you play for the game will reward you. We played 4 years, and at the end of our 4 years, we got rewarded with a trip to the NCAA tournament. I learned if you played for your team, the team will help you achieve your individual goals. You know, each year I had the goal to have so many statistics, but I never could have accomplished those statistics, the things you heard about tonight, if I didn't have those teammates around me, helping me become the best I could be. And I learned if you play for your teammates are going to love you, and they're going to play for you, and you're going to have fantastic relationships the rest of your life. Those are the three things I learned about playing baseball. In 1996, I attended an Athletic Hall of Honor ceremony, and Ed Riggs spoke. Ed Riggs said, "It's not what we did, it's who we were." And so who was I? I was the product of great coaches and great teammates. And I need to take a little bit of time tonight just to say who those gentlemen were. Coach Gene Hummel. Coach Hummel was a man of few words. And when we played and I was in the dugout, I came to believe that if he wasn't saying much, he was either satisfied with your play or he was enjoying a cigarette and enjoying the game. And Oak Shalleck and I had some great conversations about Coach Hummel recently. Oak is here. He graduated in 1987, another big contributor to the baseball program. We both agreed that nothing really fazed Coach Hummel. But it was that quiet confidence that he had as an older man who really helped me just relax in the game. It was his way of letting you know that you were playing the game the way he wanted. As my freshman year of baseball, Coach Kevin Higgins was our assistant baseball coach. Coach Higgins was also my defensive back coach in 1984 with Brian Barth. Brian, thanks. Nice to talk to you tonight. When I came to Gettysburg College, a lot like a lot of other athletes, student athletes, we had a little chip on our shoulder. And Coach Higgins was really good at removing those types of chips. But what it really did is it helped me become a much better team player because I saw the value of how that chip was getting in the way of being the best that I could be and also helping my teammates play for me. Coach Hartherneft was the assistant coach from 1987 and 1988. He came on board when Coach Campo started a really aggressive form of base running. Coach Campo liked to do things, and Coach Hartherneft helped him. Coach H was our first base coach, and when you got on base, he gave him something to do. He really helped me to become more patient as a hitter, and on the base pass, because of his pitching experience, he was able to help you understand and see the pitcher's moves, and that helped me achieve a lot of stolen bases. Of course, I did get caught a lot too. Coach Campo. Coach Campo was our first assistant coach in 1986. When he came here, Coach Campo took the time to meet every player, to measure every player, to figure out your strengths and weaknesses, and started to bond right away with that team. He was a great, as compared to Coach Hummel, Coach Campo really spoke a lot and motivated us that year. Coach Campo let the horses out of the barnyard. He let us run. He put the speed up front and the power in the rear. He loved to advance base runners in any way he could. He explored every aspect of the game as a head coach. He challenged us to be better, and he moved away from the fears of making a mistake, and he took chances, and those chances were rewarded. In 1987, we were 2-9 to start that season, his first year as a head coach. His horses were not pulling together. And Coach Campo brought us all together, reminded us that we needed to play every day hard, and if we did play every day and didn't put the end result way in first, and we did what we had to do today, we would get a conference championship, and he was absolutely right. We changed the record from 2-9 that year and ended up winning our conference and getting into the MAC championship and won a second championship in '87. And I was really pleased to be able to do that with Coach Hummel and Coach Campo. Coach, you were more than a baseball coach. You've been a mentor to me all these years, and you've been a friend, and I'm a lot better for knowing you because of those things. If I have any regrets about the baseball program, it was really the inability to say thank you to my teammates after each season. We had 4 winning seasons, we had a lot of fun, and now I have a little bit of a chance just to say thank you. You know, I'm 58 years old. I'm not getting any younger, but I still think I can go out there and play the game. Of course I can't, but. And Coach Campo talked about, being an outfielder. And being an outfielder was a lot of fun at Gettysburg, and the reason why was it was very easy. It was easy because we had such great pitchers here. Great pitchers like Brian Golden. We used to play 7-inning games. Brian would strike out, 12, 13 guys a game. In the outfield, we didn't have a lot of action. Jimmy Anderson, another clutch pitcher. You guys got so many outs that Tony Wechter and I used to talk about, everything but baseball while we were standing out there when you guys pitched. Sean Murphy, another great pitcher. Tony Wechter, all-purpose Tony, perhaps the most valuable player during those 4 years that I was here. Mark Fabieri, striking out so many guys in every game, made it so much easier. Kevin Silva, he's here tonight. Kevin was graduating in '86. Kevin was an expert at getting pop-up outs. As an outfielder, you don't want line drives. You really don't want to have that sharp hit in baseball. Silva got the pop-ups. They were like balloons floating in the air. You just had to walk underneath them and catch them. Kevin, you're awesome. Thanks for being a good pitcher. And also Kenny Killian was the same type of guy, and Ken got those same kinds of outs. I got to say thank you to Jose Yanes. Jose was a senior my freshman year. He led the team in RBIs. He was captain clutch when we needed him. He taught me how to perform in clutch situations. Thank you, Jose. Those 1986 seniors, the first MAC championship team, Dennis Maloney, Kevin Silva, Jamie Eastland, Ronnie the Zoot Zooter, Frank Delaney, you came through some tough times. You came through some challenges in the baseball program, but you showed me commitment to the team. You were players that stuck it out. And as a young player in that 1986 Cinderella season, your unselfishness really helped us achieve that conference championship. Another individual, Seth Bendian. Seth had the fastest hands, the quickest feet, and a quick bat for 3 seasons. He set the bar for each of my years at Gettysburg. Something to try to compete with, something to try to beat. And we did. We competed in every way, but we loved each other on the field. Seth taught me how to play all aspects of the game. Seth was a great hitter, base stealer, a run scorer, and he was a great second baseman. Seth, like Jose, showed me what it was expected to be as a Gettysburg baseball player. The entire group of the 1987 class, some of those guys are here tonight. And I think it was Jimmy Anderson that coined the phrase Zorbo. Called me Zorbo. I used to wear the rec specs in the games. They used to get all fogged up, and sometimes you couldn't see, and people would say, hey, can you see the ball? Jimmy Anderson, Sean Murphy, Oak Shalleck. Oak, I'm so glad you came tonight. It's been 37 years since I saw Oak. And Oak, you still look the same. You make me laugh. I could give you a big hug. Doug Fearless Fearon here tonight. Doug, thank you for coming back. You know, you guys in '87 were really the guys that turned that 2-9 season around. I mean, you had heart, and you were the gutsiest group of players that I ever played with in any sport. And I got to say thanks. And if I forget somebody like Tommy Mountford, Tommy, I meant to say your name too in that group. Tom, you were also part of it, and I appreciated it. Your die-hard mindset was what helped us do that year. Nobody quit. Chip Rossi, Gettysburg's the other Italian stallion, who as a sophomore made his debut as a conference superstar, a team player, and demonstrating to all of us that hitting over 400, maybe over 450, was entirely possible each year. Chip, I thank you, and I believe we made a very formidable 3-4 combination in 3 or 4 years of back-to-back hitting. They had to pitch to you, or they had to pitch to me. And I wouldn't have wanted to be a pitcher. Finally, I'd like to thank my 4 senior classmates, those guys from 1988. Tony Wechter, said his name a couple times tonight, Greg Button, and Brian Golden. As Coach Campo pointed out, 44 RBIs in a season, it's nothing that I accomplished. I accomplished it, but it was because Tony Wechter got on first base. Tony Wechter stole second. It was because Greg Button either bunted him or advanced Tony to second or third that gave us the opportunity for a single or a hit to get those RBIs. I don't get statistics unless Chip Rossi's hitting behind me. They wanted to pitch to me because they didn't want to pitch to Chip. And I saw good pitches to hit. And I took advantage of it. Tony, Greg, Chip, so many others on the '88 team. You were part of that offensive machine that produced so many wins, individual and team records, and some of those really remain difficult to match at this day. I got to tell you that the heart and soul of Gettysburg's baseball team in those 4 years, and that heart and soul which carried over to me, was created by a very special person, my motivator, the man who dared us to be great, the king of confidence, and the man who expanded the definition of greatness. That man is Brian Golden. Brian, the Wonder, coined by Coach Higgins, was my roommate for 2 years and a friend for life. Brian was the Pied Piper of the student body. He brought out those K signs for all the strikeouts he had. Brian brought the New York never say die attitude to Gettysburg baseball. Brian, you made the game fun and exciting and so much easier for me to play. Brian, your motivation, your positive attitude, and your passion of the game remains in my heart and in my mind forever. And there's no way I could have accomplished, there's no way the team could have accomplished so much without you being a team leader, a believer in the game itself. And as we dreamed about as freshmen and sophomore, that long sought after goal of making an NCAA tournament. Again, I want to thank the Orange and Blue Club for this great evening. You all are fantastic people. It's so great to talk to each of you. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
What can I say about our final inductee of the evening? I'm pretty sure it's all been said before, over and over and over again. Coach, mentor, friend. That's just 3 of the many words that come to mind when someone hears the name Carol Cantelli. Let's just listen to a small snippet of what 4 of her former players shared about their coach on the occasion of her taking her rightful spot in the Hall of Athletic Honor.
Carol Cantelli is synonymous with greatness. Greatness on and off the field, on the campus of Gettysburg College and beyond. Over Cantelli's time at Gettysburg, she won 4 national championships, 3 as the women's head lacrosse coach and 1 as a field hockey student athlete. As Gettysburg's head field hockey coach from 1993 to 2002, she led the team to 121 wins and 5 conference titles. As the women's lacrosse head coach, Cantelli became the program's all-time wins leader with an overall record of 446 and 115. Her record ranks 3rd in NCAA history in wins. Her teams won a conference record 12 Centennial Conference championships. She was named the IWLCA Division III Coach of the Year 4 times, the Metro Region Coach of the Year 11 times, and the Centennial Conference Coach of the Year twice. In 2021, she was inducted into the IWLCA Hall of Fame. A selection of Cantelli's former players, colleagues, and friends share their thoughts and memories of Cantelli on this occasion of her inevitable induction into the Hall of Athletic Honor.
What drew me most to Coach Cantelli was her spunk and her pizzazz. I always say she lights up a conversation. Her dedication to the job and to the players was so apparent to me. And she really walked the talk. The more I met with her and got to know her, I felt very drawn to her leadership style and was excited by the opportunity to play for her.
I was really lucky I had the opportunity to both play for Carol, and then I was fortunate to be invited back onto her coaching staff for 3 seasons. She was a joy to play for, and I think a lot of my teammates would say the same. She created an environment that was welcoming. Her passion just exudes from her every day, every time she steps on the field. And as a player, you can feel that. You can't really fake that as a coach. It was evident from the jump that she took her craft very seriously, but also had a level of, joy and fun and personality. So I think her teams really exuded that joy when they played. It was a very serious competitive environment, but it was also light and airy and fun. And that was, hugely because she had so much faith in the people that were doing the work.
As much as it was important to win, which we did a lot, under Carol, it was always bigger than lacrosse. The trophies and rings were fun, don't get me wrong, but it was truly about the people. She also had this way of just making everyone involved with our program feel just so appreciated for what they did. And from the employees in the dining hall to our bus drivers, just always made sure they knew they were a part of our team and very important to our success. We shared our wins with them, everyone involved.
She understood all of us. I remember many long conversations with her, making sure that I was ready and my head was on straight. That I was doing my part for the team and that, facing all the challenges that we had in school. But at the end of the day, she was there. She saw the best in us and drove us forward. She just continued to believe in us and our ability to succeed. And that was huge. That was huge. And it was a really fantastic time in my life. And I think the life of all of our teammates, because we had this opportunity, this moment in time to come together and do something we all loved with a leader who loved doing it and loved being part of it. And that was something we all felt every day.
In reflection, what impresses me most is that she really stretched herself beyond the norm, continuing to strive to be better every day, every season. She was constantly developing and improving her own coaching style through new and refreshed practice agendas, film study, preparing us for upcoming opponents. Every season that I played for her, all 4 years, she altered her approach and made sure that it was something that I think met the moment. I really admire the way she conducted herself, you know, both on and off the field. She was and continues to be a role model for many of us.
Carol is, she's second to none. And I think a lot of people would say that. And so many people, when I worked with Carol, were curious about Carol. What is it about Carol? What makes her so good? It's hard to put into words. Once you know Carol, you love her. And I think what really sets her apart is that she invests in people legitimately, genuinely. She's authentic herself, but she has a real deep care for everybody that she comes across in life. Everybody has a story. That piece of her personality has been what really has made her stand apart. Carol's going to get up on stage and she's probably going to thank Gettysburg College. She's going to thank the coaches, and she's going to thank the players, and she's going to probably give all of that credit away if I know Carol. But I think the reason that the people in her camp were so good is because Carol took the first step to invest in them as people. I can get emotional thinking about it, talking about it, just seeing her in action. It doesn't feel like work, because she has a genuine curiosity for everybody that's around her.
When the pandemic hit my senior year and seasons were getting canceled, I think the NBA was the first league to shut down maybe. My teammates and I weren't worried at all. Like, the world was literally shutting down, but Carol was such a legend that we truly thought Coach would never let them cancel our season. Like, that just would never happen. Like, we're still going to be playing lacrosse in 2020. And, if that doesn't express, just how highly we view her and, what a superhero we think she is, I don't know what does. We really thought a pandemic wouldn't stop Carol Cantelli.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Carol Cantelli.
Thank you. Like I said, I'd rather be on a sideline right now. It's a whole different kind of game day up here. And wow, those are a lot of moments, you ladies that spoke tonight. Thank you. A lot of great moments, a lot of great memories, and a hell of a lot of bad haircuts. Thank you, Mike, Nick, Luke, the Athletic Hall of Honor Committee, and all those behind the scenes who worked so hard to put this evening and weekend together. Congratulations to all the Hall of Honor members here tonight, and a special shout out to the class of 2024 inductees. I'm honored to share the stage with you. The older you get, the more it means. Are there any die-hard Bruce Springsteen fans out there? I know there is, because about 9 of you I've seen a show with you together, and 4 of you as recently as this past Friday night. He rocks. Before closing a concert and tour back in 2013, Springsteen thanked the fans, his band, his crew, and remarked that he had been making music for a living for 50 years. He said, "I feel like I just started, man. I got another 50 in me." The older you get, the more it means. Whether a fan or not, I'm sure that many of you can relate to his words. Now, I sure as heck don't have another 50 years of making music left in me. 40 years was plenty, and spending 30 years of it at my beloved alma mater was a dream come true. But I do appreciate what Bruce was saying. Since my retirement in 2022, I've been given the gift of time to reflect on my fulfilling career and, most importantly, the people and the place associated with it. So yeah, Bruce, the older I get, the more it means. And like Bruce, I would like to thank my fans, my crew, and my band, for without them, I would not be standing up here tonight. This very special honor belongs to the entire cast. So let's start with the band. To the Gettysburg Field Hockey and Lacrosse team bands, thanks for always being where your feet are and for making every moment matter. All those little moments made big things happen. You competed with joy, with passion, and with a competitive championship mindset. You showed up with the very best version of yourself to every practice and game. What an experience to be a part of your 4-year transformation. All of you had your own personal journey, and at the same time, you shared countless experiences and developed unbreakable bonds with your teammates. You all were difference makers during your time on campus, and you continue to lead a life of impact. I loved every moment of making music with you all. You taught me more than you will ever know, and no words adequately describe my love for you. Mwah. I love you all. To my crew, associate and assistant coaches, athletic training, athletic communications, equipment room, O&B and alumni relations, and athletic administration colleagues, thank you. Your dedications to the teams, your energy and expertise, and your unwavering support of the student athletes were beautiful to witness. So much goes on behind the curtain. I am indebted to all of you who made game day and our championship experiences so special. The hours, the planning, the troubleshooting, no one was above getting their hands dirty to accomplish a goal. For much of that time, we were under the leadership of Director of Athletics David Wright, who fostered a family atmosphere with a winning mentality. No one did it better than Gettysburg College Athletics. To my assistant coaches, so many of you here tonight, I'm over the moon blessed. The chemistry we developed with one another and within our team culture reminds me of the magic created when watching Springsteen and the East Street Band perform. All on the same page, a united front, and a willingness to share the spotlight. The practice planning, scouting sessions, and post-game, let's call them meetings, were some of my most treasured times. I would be remiss if I didn't single out two extraordinary crew members. Former associate, head women's lacrosse coach, head field hockey coach, Barb Jordan. Yeah. And former director of sports medicine, Michael Cantelli. Now, Barb was a defensive genius as well. Here, you ladies will defend this. I think she holds the team record for the most assists dished out at practices. Would we all agree? Those players in the room, the girl could feed with pinpoint accuracy. And Mike, well, not only did he keep the teams healthy, but he may have won us a few ball games by his subtle and not so subtle communications with the officials. Sharing the sideline with my best friend Barb and with my husband Mike for over 20 years. Can you frickin' beat that, people? I am beyond. Yeah. And by the way, it can work. You know, a lot of people say stay away from your husband, wife, work relations. It worked, it really did. But I am beyond grateful for you both. Your knowledge, insights, and perspective were invaluable to the success of the programs. Your guidance and advice for the athletes and me were always honest, candid, and respected. To my roadie crew members, the parents, Thank you for entrusting your daughters to me and for enthusiastically showing up to all our concerts. You fueled us with your applause and positive cheers and provided the most epic post-game tailgates. We all gained about 20 pounds or more, trust me, I did, over the course of a season. We ate well. And finally, to my fans, Bruce and I love our fans. Now, if you've been to shows, there was a period where Springsteen, in his younger days, bounded onto the stage and to begin his religious revival style event with this question to the audience. I wonder if any of you might know what it was. Here it goes. Are you ready to be transformed? Come on, people. Yeah. All right. Of course, the fans would chant back, yes. He'd ask this question 6, 7 more times. Are you ready to be transformed? With each response, the fans grew louder and more obsessed. And then for the next 3.5 hours, he would do just that. He would transform us with his storytelling and his musical magic. But here's where Bruce and I disagree and differ. We differ, we don't disagree. He loves me, by the way. But here's where Bruce and I differ. Bruce transformed and transforms his fans. My fans have transformed me. My fans include the significant mentors and relationships formed during my student-athlete experience. My legendary and fierce field hockey coach, Mrs. Lois Bowers. My very talented teammates, several of them here tonight wearing these, of course, and my supportive classmates and roommates, all here tonight as well, contributed immensely into my pathway into coaching. I would likely never have become a collegiate coach if I hadn't had such an amazing student-athlete experience like the one provided at Gettysburg College. I love you guys. My family, table 1 over there. Sisters, Chris and Kim, brother Bob, their spouses Amy and the Scans man, my husband Mike and daughter Ashley, both Gettysburg grads, and her partner Ryan, and my son Jordan and wife Amy, have all transformed me beyond measure. Your genuine interest in the Bullets field hockey and lacrosse programs and their coach was unmatched. And lastly, my mom and dad, my biggest fans. I thank them for believing in me and for being a part of so many of these moments. I know my family would agree, and so many of you in this room, both as roommates, teammates, and former players, that our dad, my dad, would be eating this night up. He adored this place and loved enthusiastically cheering on the field hockey and lacrosse girls. I can't tell you how many games where I was in the huddle with the team and there was my dad in the huddle. I'm like, Dad, ease up, buddy. But he was there all the time. And our mom, at 96 years young, that's right, 96 years young, Mom has been the constant, and like Bruce, she's the boss. Mom, you exercise the perfect balance of holding your children's hand and pushing us out the door. You encouraged us to get out of our comfort zone, yet we're always our cushion. I tried to emulate your ways with my own kids, as well as with the field hockey and lacrosse team members. So what do you say, Mom? Let's continue to cheer on those amazing Bullets lacrosse players in the back of the room right now and their fantastic coaches for years to come. The older you get, the more it means. I'm honored and humbled to be a part of such a distinguished group. Thank you, Gettysburg College. and all the tremendous people affiliated with it. Forever orange and blue. Thank you.
All right. Well, I would like to thank everybody for coming out for this wonderful evening and celebrating alongside of our inductees. My name is Nick Poehler. I'm the director of the Orange and Blue Club. One of the reasons that this night is so special each and every year is because of the groundwork that was laid by Jan Shera. Jan Shera recently retired after 36 years at Gettysburg College, and she's here tonight as our guest to finally celebrate and enjoy the fruits of her labor. So thank you, Jan. I'm probably going to have to stay on the stage because you're going to kill me when I leave, I know that. We hope you enjoy the remainder of your time on campus over homecoming weekend. Tomorrow we'll recognize our inductees on the field during that football game at halftime. Kickoff is at 1 o'clock, and we should be bringing them on at about 2 o'clock p.m. And as always, we will be concluding our event with a performance of the alma mater sung by senior Ani Griffin Morimoto. Thank you.
I think I'm too short for this. Softly the evening shadows are veiling the campus stars. We come a band of good fellows to sing in the twilight hour. The silvery moonlight mantles the worn walls of chapel anew. The wind in the trees sweetly echoes our praises of orange and blue. Whenever the loyal ones gather to awaken fond memories, our thoughts shall be turned alma mater, old Gettysburg, back to thee. Forever I'm in thy debtor, and whatever else I may do, I'll love, I'll defend, and I'll honor our glorious orange and blue.